All right. Well, this is our team. My name is Tina Linu. I hopefully have seen you guys previously in our session 1 training. Here's our team. Amy, we are so happy to have again being able to do our session 2. And if you guys have any questions as we're going through, make sure you put those in the slides. I will put them one more time in the chat. So our Q&A doc was going to be the collector of questions. We will try to answer them as we're going through the session. If you have an immediate question, you can also put in the Q&A in Zoom, and then we will answer those. Either Amy can answer them live, or I will type them out and answer them for you guys as well. Here's what our Q&A doc looks like. Again, you can get it through the link in the chat, or if you are on the slides, you can get that way. And I am going to pass this over to Amy. And there we go. Like, how do I stop sharing? All right.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tina. I'm going to hop into share, and I'm also going to remember to share my sound this time. And we're going to hop into our session here this afternoon. So if y'all were with us last time, that was kind of the intro to Canva for Education. Today's session is really going to all be taking place within the Canva editor. So we're going to be going over editor tips and tricks when you are designing and creating in Canva. Again, I know Tina really quickly introduced me, but I'm Amy. I serve as your district's Canva learning consultant, previously elementary school teacher. My fun fact for this week is I'm all about the felt tip pens. So that would be my go-to like supply refresh. I always wanted like new fresh colors. So that's kind of where I fall on the pen debate spectrum. Here is our session for this afternoon. We're briefly going to be going over what is Canva, and then honestly, y'all, the entire rest of the time we're going to be playing and creating in Canva. So again, this is going to be super fast overview. I know the majority of you all are pretty familiar with Canva. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this quick little bit, and then we'll get into the Canva editor together. So Canva, y'all know this, one-stop shop, creating anything you can truly imagine. You have an entire visual suite in Canva. Again, we're going to be in the Canva editor today, and all of the editing skills that you're going to be learning and practicing can be applied across any one of these Canva doc types. So what you learned today could be used in a Canva infinite space whiteboard, or when you're creating Canva videos. So again, lots of options, and it looks the same in the Canva editor. Canva for Education is 100% free because here at Canva, we believe education is a human right. And as an organization, we truly want to empower everyone to create, collaborate, and communicate in the classroom and beyond. And that's the thing that we've really noticed is quite unique about Canva, is that when we allow our students to get into Canva and see themselves as creators and designers as well, they're going to be practicing lifelong skills that are going to stay with them well beyond their K-12 learning journey. So when it comes to the ISTE standards, we just like to point out that these are the 4 main categories that Canva as an EdTech platform really tries to support. So allowing students to become creative communicators, global collaborators, really empowering their learning, letting them take the reins, and kind of setting them on this creation pathway. And then lastly, innovative and in Canva, iterative designers. With Canva, truly anything is possible. So that is a super broad overview of Canva, but let's hop in and make sure everybody is logged into Canva first. So again, I know I'm displaying like the old school way to get into Canva. There's multiple routes to get into Canva. You do not have to follow the directions on my screen. However, if you want to, you can just open up a new web browser, go to canva.com. In the top right, you'll click login. When this window pops up, you can say continue with email. And then Tina and Jennifer, please ensure that I'm saying the right thing. But I also feel I should know that I should have this memorized by now, but I believe you all are Google. So you should be able to access Canva in your Google Waffle.
Correct. Yes, we are Google. You are right, Amy.
I was like, I should have checked it right before I hopped on, but I didn't. Okay. So again, if everybody could sign in the entire rest of the time, we're going to be playing and creating in Canva. So I would love to ensure that everyone's able to log in. Okay. Haven't seen anything come in, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, login is going quite smoothly out there. I'm going to be putting a link into the Zoom chat next. So this is essentially a template link where each one of you, when you click it, is going to be able to make a copy of this design that I've created for us. So you should be able to click the link in the chat, and it's going to take you to this landing page where it says something like, hey, Amy created this design. And then you're going to potentially, depending on your screen resolution, if you're super zoomed in on your screen, you might have to scroll down to see this option down below, use template for new design. And then it's going to pop you up into the Canva editor, and you're going to have your own copy of this template. So it looks like somebody just popped in. Welcome, welcome. If you could click the Let's Try deck link in the Zoom chat, and then scroll down, select the button, use this template for new design, and then you'll be able to pop into the Canva editor with your own copy of this template link. Okay. Next little bit, I hope everybody has the template link open. If you do not, please let me know and we can kind of troubleshoot from there. The next thing I want to do is if you do not have two screens, if you want to split your screen so that you can see me playing on the Zoom and kind of demoing in my Canva, and then having your Canva tab open on the left or the right hand side, whatever works for you, you can hover over the top right of your browser and select this middle button here. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. But hover over it, and then you can select to split your screen maybe in half, and then drag your Zoom over to the other side. Again, you do not have to do this, but I just wanted to give you time. I know sometimes folks are like, you're going too fast. I got to get set up. So I just want to give everybody time to feel good about their technology setup. Because again, the rest of this session, I'm going to be demoing things in Canva and you're going to be playing along. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started from here. Now that we're in the Canva editor, a few things to remember. Canva saves automatically as you go, and it will save anything that you open in Canva, which is fantastic. But whenever you open a random template link, like the one I just gave you, it's going to say copy of, and then whatever I named this. So if that's not a meaningful thing to you, and in the future when you're like, oh, I want to go back to that demo deck with Amy when we were just playing around in the Canva editor, and you try to search for it in your projects tab, but it's maybe something still design essentials for educators, let's try. If that doesn't mean anything to you, again, you can put your cursor here at the top. Depending on your screen resolution, you might not see this rectangle. Don't worry, you can still go to the file drop-down menu and just highlight whatever the name of the document is, just delete it, and rename this something you'll remember. So that's the first thing I try to do when I come into the Canva editor. From here, I want to show you all a few things. So across the top of the Canva editor, you're going to see this teal, blue, and purple kind of ombre header bar. On the left-hand side, you're going to see all of your Canva editing apps. Across the bottom, you're going to see your footer. And then underneath this kind of colored here header bar, you're going to see, I call this one here right now, only positions kind of showing up, but I call this the horizontal toolbar. So again, I just wanted to take a quick tour of the Canva editor ecosystem. And now I'm going to kind of go through a few more of the buttons. So obviously home is going to take you back home. If you ever hit this by accident, please don't stress out. When you go home, I do this all the time. I hit it by accident. Whatever you were just in will be in the top left here under recent designs, and then you'll just pop back into the Canva editor. Next to home, you're going to see file. Again, this is where you could potentially rename this. This is where you could save this file to a folder if you want to think about organizational structure. You could also easily make a copy of this. I also like to point out the view settings. So underneath file view settings, this is where you can show the rulers. So I really like the rulers when I'm designing. Some people, it's not their thing. So you can try turning it on and then you can come back and turn it off. This is also, again, file drop-down menu is where you could potentially go to version history. I will say our version history is not as extensive as Google's, but again, could be a good option if you want to restore to a previous version history. This resize and magic switch, I just like going over it now while we're going over the header. Essentially, you can take any Canva creation and then resize it into another size. So right now, these are presentation slides. If I wanted to change it into an 8.5 by 11 vertical flyer, I could do that. So again, if you make a flyer for an event, just come up to resize here, and I could type in flyer, and then I'd be able to kind of choose whichever I want and kind of create a copy in that new size from there. So again, if you're creating an event flyer, don't start from scratch when you need to create a social media post. Just have Canva resize that event flyer into an Instagram square, whatever you're trying to post on. Again, that's all under resize and magic switch. Across the right-hand side here of the header, you're going to see when you press present, these are all of your different present options. I normally just do full screen, but you have presenter view, present and record, as well as autoplay. And then we talked about this briefly last time, but the share drop-down menu in the top right is where you'll be able to share and publish your Canva creation with all types of options. Okay, we're gonna spend our time going through the left-hand sidebar, but before we hop in, I just wanna go over the footer bar really quickly. So again, in the Canva editor, the footer bar is always gonna be the same no matter what you're creating or editing. I know we, again, have slides here, but it would look the same as if I was in a brochure or an Instagram post. You do always have the option of selecting notes, and this kind of hidden notes sidebar will appear. This is really cool. I worked with an art teacher who had students, have their final project over here, and then in the notes section allows students to talk more about their design process or their reflection. Or it was just a really cool place for students to still add kind of like their thinking, but not necessarily have their thinking be on the final product, if that makes sense. You could also put in bullet points here. So when you went to present and went into presenter view, you'd see your bullet points on the sidebar, and your audience wouldn't necessarily, see that when you were presenting. I'm going to hit notes again to kind of collapse that down. I just like to show that any slideshow in Canva, when you select this duration button, we'll turn it into a video. We're not going to play around a ton with that, but again, I just want you to be able to click buttons and try things today and experiment, see what happens. Again, you could make each of these scenes longer. You could add in transitions from one slide to the next. And then you would just hit duration again if you wanted to turn it back into slides. Obviously, you can go to a certain page here. You can zoom in and out using the zoom toggle bar. Just want to show you this grid view button, which is in the footer. Now we're moving towards the right-hand side. It's 4 individual squares in a square. But when I select that, it's going to zoom out, give me a macro level perspective of my Canva creation. I could very easily move things around. Remember, you can always hit the back button. And then when you want to zoom back in, double click, and you'll zoom back into whatever page you want to be on. Okay, I know that's a lot, but again, I just want you to feel good about the editor ecosystem so you know what all of these buttons do. So essentially for today's session, we're going to skip the design tab and we're going to head down to the elements tab. So in Canva speak, an element is any sort of asset that we're adding to our design. So we're going to move essentially through different categories of elements. There's 10 total categories of elements. We're going to start in graphics. So again, if you want to hit the element sidebar on the left-hand side, and then if you want to, on your deck, hit page number 5. So we're going to go to graphics. Now there's 2 ways to get to all of these categories. You can put your cursor in the magnifying search bar here, and then scroll down to a category such as graphics. Graphics is orange with this orange slice. The other way to get there is to just hit the elements tab, and then you'll scroll down here on this left-hand side, and you can go to graphics, click see all. So again, lots of ways to get to the same place in Canva. Let's see, I'm trying to push myself and do something different. Okay, let's do a otter. Okay, so all I did was type in otter in my graphics category. Those of you who are Canva pros, unfortunately, there's no way on the left-hand side to be able to see which Canva graphics you can change the hex code colors until you put it into your design. So I selected this otter, but when it came in, I realized in my horizontal toolbar that I don't have the hex code color boxes to be able to kind of change that around. That's okay. I'm just going to delete that one and see if I can find an otter where I could potentially, nope, that one doesn't have it either. Oh man, I am striking out. I'm not doing a good job guessing which ones I can. So this is, let me see this one. There we go. Whew. Okay. So when I selected this otter and put it into my design, you can see up here, these different hex code color boxes came in with it. So that means I could easily go in and kind of change the hex code colors of any part of this graphic. Remember, a graphic, you can make it bigger or smaller, or any element for that matter, by grabbing one of the corners and dragging it in and out. You can pick it up and move it around. And so if you can find some graphic, again, if you're following along with me, that you can change the hex code colors. So again, select one of the hex code color boxes, and I could easily change this. If you don't see a color that you like on the left-hand side here, go up to where it says add a new color. You can play around on the whole Roy G. Biv spectrum here, as well as move this kind of circle around. Can you search by hex code color? So you're not able to necessarily search by a certain hex code color, but let me show you another way. So in the elements, when I'm searching in the elements search bar here, on the right-hand side, you can select this filters button. And from here, oh, I guess you could, I've never done that. You could potentially, if you knew the hex code color, you could put that in. Yep. But it might be limiting your search results. Yeah. Okay, a few more things I want to play around and show you all and give you some time to play. Obviously, changing hex code colors, changing size. When you have your element highlighted, you can also flip it. So I could flip it horizontally or vertically. The other thing is sometimes this circle here with these two arrows will show up at the bottom. Sometimes, depending on your layout, it might show up at the sides, but think of that as like a pivot point, a pivot point where you're able to pivot that Canva element and kind of get it on the correct angle that you might want in your design. Last thing I want to show you all is some of my favorite search terms. So let me do otter. And then I have no idea if this exists, but I like to add 3D. Oh, we don't have any. Let me do, so otter, and then you can also add sketch. So if you're looking for like something more simple, like a sketch, again, I'm just demoing with an otter. You can do whatever you want, but I just want to give you these words to play around with when you're searching. The other one is doodle. Here, let me do, I know the globe has some fun 3Ds. There was no 3D otters, so I apologize. But like, for instance, this globe 3D is pretty cool, having all of these different kind of elements, just giving it a bit more dimension. We also have letter collections. So let me do, I have no idea, fur letters. Oh my goodness. I've never searched for this. But apparently there's some brown fur letters. So maybe if I wanted to spell out otter, when this comes up, I'm only seeing an A though, and clearly I want an O for otter. So we can hover over the top right of this brown furry A. Not only could I see more by that particular creator, oh shoot, there's no, it's not a part of a collection. Hold on, let me see if I can. Oh, okay, so this pink one, or red, I guess. You can hit view collection and then you can see all of these ridiculous furry letters and numbers and symbols to potentially spell something out. So again, I wouldn't necessarily, this is not a font, right? So it's not gonna be where you're typing and it turns into these letters, it's by hand. So I wouldn't do a big chunk of text with these letter collections, but it could be really fun, a really fun kind of like title page to have some cool letters. So I could spell out otter from there. Other thing I just want to point out is, again, when you hover over the top right of any element, at the very bottom, you're going to see the option to report this. Canva takes this very seriously. So if you ever see anything that you feel is inappropriate, please hover over the top right, come down to the bottom and select report. It will ask, I think it's only like 2 or 3 quick questions. And then our product team reviews everything that was reported on a weekly basis. So just kind of wanted to point that out to you all. We also have fun animal letters too. So you can literally type for anything. And here's a whole set of giraffe letters. Okay, so I know that's a lot on graphics, but again, a lot of the same kind of like searching options that I've told you are going to pertain to the other categories. So just kind of wanted to set you up for success there. If y'all want to follow along with me, we're going to head to page number 6 next and go into the next category of elements, which is lines and shapes. So you're just going to hit the Elements tab again. And you can either put your cursor in the search bar at the top and scroll down to the purple shapes, or just clear out the search bar here, go down to shapes and click See All. So remember, there's multiple routes. It's just kind of like whatever workflow you like. So I selected this arrow if I'm kind of thinking about like a process I want my students to follow for something that I'm creating. The shapes, you can either bring up one side like this, or you can proportionally grab a corner and have it kind of extend out from there. The other really cool thing is any shape you select, just click in the middle and it will automatically allow you to type. So you don't need to add like a text box on top of a shape. You can just begin to type. Then similarly, like with graphics, you can change this to any hex code color. You can change around the border style, as well as the border weight and corner rounding. You can play around with the font size, font color. And then the last thing I want to show you all is that any shape you can also, in a heartbeat, change to a different shape. So even though I started with that arrow, maybe I actually want to turn it into a diamond instead, or a square, and I'm able to kind of do that. You just hit the shape button, and you can kind of change it from there. Again, I know I'm going kind of fast through things, but I'm hoping you're in a place where you can kind of see what I'm doing and also follow along and click in Canva. Remember, this is super low stakes. Nobody's gonna see what you're creating. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Be creative, get messy, click buttons. Remember, you can always hit this back arrow if you don't like what you did, or Control Z on your keyboard shortcuts. All right, y'all, we're gonna head to the next category, which is charts. So if y'all wanna click on page number 7, and then we're gonna select our Elements tab again. I'm just gonna put my cursor in the search bar, scroll down. Charts is hot pink, and I'm gonna be able to see all of these different types of charts. So for the sake of demo, I'm just going to select this bar chart here. So you can easily just select anything. Again, all of this is fully editable, not only the access labels, but also the data. So it will update in real time. Also, students do not have to or you all for that matter, depending on how you might be using charts, do not have to manually enter data. You could also upload a CSV file or directly link one of your Google Sheets where you might have data, maybe it's attendance data, testing data, whatever data it may be. And then you could play around with these hex code colors. Oops, that's not a good color to choose. Let's do that one. And really kind of edit this and make it your own, changing the font, the spacing of the columns, as well as the roundedness. The other thing I like to point out that I love from like a student chart perspective when they're thinking about the data and their analysis of the data, and we want them thinking critically, okay, does this chart accurately tell this data story? And is it going to be easy for my audience to interpret this data? When I figured this out, my mind was blown because I used to teach my students how to make graphs in my class, and it was a lot of time invested. So if a student is thinking critically, I don't know if this bar chart is really making it easy for them to see this data trend or this data story. Maybe it'd be better to have a line chart. They can go to the drop-down menu at the top here and just change. Whoop, that didn't, not a histogram. Let's do a donut. And just kind of change through the different chart types. So again, mind-blowing, going from creating charts by hand with students and allowing them the ability to, in a 2 clicks, kind of change how this is kind of being displayed for their audience. So please, please, if you haven't played in Canva charts, please check it out. Really all about making that data visual and allowing the audience into that data story. All right, y'all, next category we're gonna hop into after charts. So if you wanna toggle with me to page number 8, we're gonna go into tables really quickly. So again, elements, I'm just selecting the elements tab, putting my cursor in the search bar, scrolling down to tables, it's kind of that Kelly green category. And you're gonna see all of our table options here. So I will say they're kind of pretty, self-explanatory. There's no way in Canva to kind of say, hey, Canva, make me a chart that's, 3 by 7. You kind of just have to put this chart in as a starting block, and then you can hover over rows and columns, and then just manually kind of add them from there. Inside each one of these cells, you can just put your cursor and you'll be able to type and add in whatever you may be adding to that particular chart. So I just like to show you all that it's an option, especially when you're thinking about displaying things visually. Again, remember, everything's fully editable, so if you don't like the colors and all of that stuff, you can play around with all of those options. Okay, y'all, next we're gonna head into frames. This is an element category I truly did not understand when I first started in Canva. A lot of times you're gonna find frames when you start with a Canva template, and then maybe there's a photograph and you click on that photo to delete it. And it will say, do you wanna delete the image or do you wanna delete the whole frame? I was like, I have no idea. Well, if you delete the image, then you're still gonna have the frame behind it, and a frame essentially is gonna crop a photo or a video into a particular shape. So let's check out our frame category. So again, elements tab, cursor in the search bar, scroll down to frames. And then you're gonna see all of these different kind of categories of frames. So we have basic shapes, you can click see all. We have some from film and photo, devices, some like torn paper frames, flowers, blobs, and even frames that look like picture frames. So I love this Polaroid one, so I'm just gonna pop it right in. So again, if you delete a photo from a template and it has this kind of cartoony cloud with this horizon scape, that's telling you that, hey, there's a frame that's a part of this template, and you can just drop a photo or a video and it will crop it into that shape. So I'm gonna go back, and I was looking for otters. So I'm just gonna select a photo. Remember, a frame will not crop a graphic. It has to be a photo or a video. So I'm just gonna select this otter photo. I kind of have to hover it over until I see it kind of snap into place in the frame. And then I thought that that was it when I first started designing. And sometimes, here, let me delete this one and maybe use this one. Okay, so see how this otter is now not in the middle of the frame? That would annoy me, but I didn't know how to fix it. I learned though, if you double click, give it a minute, it will pop up. You can manipulate this photo and then reposition it. Click out of it, and now it's kind of exactly how you want it to be cropped into that particular shape. Again, the same thing goes for videos. And we also have really cool letter frames. So thinking about like the abbreviation of your campus or school community. You can also search in the frames. You could have students do frame projects. My name starts with an A. So maybe if I wanted students to spell out things that they like using the letters in their name, and I could type in swimming. And then maybe I want to put a video in. And now that video is going to play within that letter frame. So again, this could be really cool thinking about your campuses. I'm just thinking about like my middle school was LJHS. So you could have the L, J, H, and S, and then different photos maybe of students at different school events, or even videos. And it could be like the title slide that's playing while y'all are having an assembly or something. Again, these are individual letter frames, so you have to go one by one. So I would not recommend doing a lot of text in this, but it could be a really awesome kind of like cover page or title page. All right, the next category we're going to dive into is grids. So again, select the Elements tab, put your cursor in the search bar, scroll down to grids, and you're going to see, grids, they seem to be made up of multiple frames, and you are correct. So rather than trying to kind of space things out on your page, you could just select a grid and have it kind of divide up that space for you. The other really cool thing about frames that I also didn't know is that you can select any frame, and instead of putting a photo or a video into it, you could just put a color on it. So maybe I want to turn this orange, and then I'm going to go back to my two things that I recently used and then just pop them into those frames. So again, remember you can move this by double clicking, and you can maneuver from there. The other really cool thing about grids is they do not need to be applied to a whole page. So you can apply a grid and then move it over to the left, right, top, or bottom. Again, it's just going to divide up photos and videos. So if you want like 3 photos across the bottom, you can really easily kind of just apply a grid rather than spending time trying to line up photos and make sure they're all the exact same size. So let me see if I can find one really quickly to show what I'm talking about. Yes, like this. Oh, interesting. So I would need 3 at the top. But you all kind of get what I'm trying to show you. So there's like 3 photos here. I would bring this text down, and that way I could have these 3 photos going across, and they would all be evenly spaced, sized, and all of that good stuff. Again, I feel like grids are a hidden gem. Not a lot of folks use them, but it really makes, if you're designing by hand, it really makes dividing up space super easy. All right, y'all, I know we're barreling through everything, so stick with me. Y'all are doing incredible. We're going to go to the next category here on page 11, which is photos. So again, you can put your cursor in the search bar, go down to photos. Let me search for an otter. Oh my goodness, this otter. I had to select this one. Oh my gosh, too funny. Okay, so from here, there's so many things that you can do to edit your photo. So I want to show you all a few things. Again, all I did was click on it. I can bring it, move it around in my design, grab a corner, make it bigger, smaller. And then when I click on it and have it highlighted, you're going to see in the horizontal toolbar, I have a couple of photo editing options. So first one, I can go up to edit photo in the top left of this horizontal toolbar. I could easily do BG remover, which is the beach ball, which is our background remover. Remember, hit buttons, see what happens. You can always hit the back button. You can also add fun filters. So you can scroll down here to filters, click see all, and you could potentially play around with some of these filters. Maybe if I wanted to make this more vintagey or even monochromatic. And then for each of the filters, you can play around with the intensity of the filter. We also have color pop. So if you're doing some like pop art, remember, hit the back button and it should revert back to previous formatting. Additionally, you can go to this adjust button in the middle of the photo editing sidebar. You could potentially auto adjust. You could also select something in the foreground or background and kind of bring that out and make that nice and clear and have like the background a little bit more blurred. You can also play around with brightness and highlights and contrast, sharpness and clarity. So if this is a photo you took that you uploaded from your classroom and maybe it's a little blurry, that's okay. Just click on it once you've input it into your design, edit photo, go to adjust, and then bring that sharpness and clarity up. Okay, last thing I want to show you all is you can still flip photos as well. So don't feel limited just by what you're finding. And then you can also play around with photo transparency. So the transparency button is the one that looks like a checkered flag. You'll select that and you can bring the transparency down. So actually one of my favorite things to do when making slides is to make a photo or a video the background. In order to do that, you select the photo or video and highlight it. You'll see this little floating toolbar appears and these 3 horizontal dots. Oops, I have to zoom out of my view there. And I can say replace background. And now I have this photo or video as the background of that page. Remember, this doesn't have to be slides. It can be any page. Sometimes though, the photo is so vibrant that it's hard to read the text. So I would maybe also click on that photo again and maybe bring the transparency down a little bit. And I might have to play around with where my text is. Or again, I can bring the transparency down more. So it's still easy for students to read. All right, y'all, you're doing incredible. We've got about 12 more minutes. I just want to show you, we have super high quality videos that you could add to your Canva creations. So again, going to elements, put your cursor in the search bar, scroll down to videos. And I love that I can put my cursor over the video and get like a little preview of what the video is before I commit to it. And just like when I was editing my photo, I just want to make sure my video is highlighted. Then same like the photo editing horizontal toolbar, you have this edit video option. You could remove the background. You could add a filter to your video. And then you also still have this adjust option where you could play around with the highlights and contrast and all of that good stuff, similar to editing photos in Canva. Just want to show you a few video specific things though. This current otter video that I selected is 28 seconds. If I wanted to maybe cut that up, I would just hit the button with the scissors. Maybe instead of 28 seconds, I just want 10 seconds of otter video. And then the cool thing is I can move this window about to select the 10 seconds I actually want. I'll hit done, and now I've got that. The other thing I want to show you all is this playback button. You can speed up your video or slow it down depending on what you've recorded or what video you're using. You can also say play on repeat, so that video will automatically play when you come to that page. And then lastly, just like in a photo or a graphic, you can also flip videos, which was mind-boggling to me. So again, if you have like a video, but you want it facing the opposite direction, so cool that you can just flip it in one click. And then you could also do the same thing with transparency. And we could also, again, click on this video, select those 3 horizontal dots and replace the background. I would suggest bringing the transparency down though. And then if we were maybe presenting this, it would kind of be in the background while students were maybe learning otter facts or whatever that may be. I might want to slow that video down. That's kind of going a little fast, but again, that's why we're here to play and kind of just see what things look like. All right, next up is slide number 13. We're gonna do a quick text to image. So again, you can hit the Elements tab. You're gonna see this category here, AI image generator. If you have anything in the search bar, you're gonna need to clear that out. But underneath, you can select this button here to generate your own. And I'm on such an otters kick here, so I'm gonna say, otters eating pizza at the beach. So again, this is only the output is only as good as the input. So maybe give some context, clear, maybe like a scene that you'd like to see. And then underneath there, you can see styles. You can click see all. Some really fun ones like neon art, moody art, soft focus, 3D art or a 3D model, anime art, fine art, watercolors, stained glass. I mean, there's so many options. And then from here, you can also select, do you want squares, landscapes, or portrait? Oh my goodness. All right, y'all, I am obsessed with these otters eating their own pizzas, but off of a pizza box at the beach. That is too funny to me. So again, just kind of wanted to show you, this is a really awesome way for students to maybe practice vocabulary or even talk about characters. Have a student describe a character using character traits and descriptive words, and then see what Canva kind of creates and see if that's representative of that character. Does the student need to go back and kind of change up their prompt? Also want to show you on the next page that any element in Canva can be animated. So here is your create an animation. You're gonna select and fly the bee from flower to flower. So in order to do this, I'll show you all real quick and then you can have a second to play. So you're gonna select the bee and then you're gonna come up to this horizontal toolbar and select the animate button. From here, Canva has tons of pre-made animations that you could apply to that bee, but we're going to select the button at the top with the bumblebee, create an animation, and you'll be able to pick up this bee and have it fly from flower to flower and then maybe back. From there, I could have Canva smooth it out to make me look really good, make it more steady. You could also orient it to the path, which is kind of funny. And you could also speed it up and slow it down. When you're done, just say done. And then when we would come and present this, that animation would be kind of embedded on that page. Only thing I'm going to say about animations, though, obviously this is super fun, but please be thinking critically about the animations you're adding. And if it's adding to the understanding and making it easier for students to access information, or if you have 27 things on one page animated, is that perhaps distracting from student understanding? So I know it's really cool once we find out things can be animated, but please think critically about what you're animating and if it's adding and assisting students in their understanding. All right, y'all. So we've been hanging out in this Elements tab for the majority of our time. For the sake of time today, we're going to skip over text, but if you want a text box, this is where you come. We're going to skip over brand as well, and we're going to go into the Uploads tab. So from here, this is where you could potentially upload by selecting these three dots here, anything from your device, your Google Drive, Google Photos, or potentially even your Dropbox. Please be aware though, the first time I uploaded a video, I think I uploaded it like 22 times before I realized Canva sorts your uploads into 3 different categories of files. So images, I just needed to click this video tab and I would have seen the one that I uploaded 22 times, and then audio as well. On page 17, I just want to show you all that in addition to being able to upload anything, you can also record yourself from within the Uploads tab. So you and students can do this. I'm going to stop my Zoom video real quick and see if I can do this for y'all. Yay, okay. Please just don't judge. I was trying to clean my desk out before I started with y'all, so you'll see that in a second. Okay, so I'm right here, record yourself. So maybe I want to give some directions on this page and then another page for my students. So I'm going to hit the record button. It's going to give me a countdown. Hi, students. On this page, your challenge is to record yourself. And now on this page, I want you to practice using the draw feature in Canva. This is how you find the draw feature, blah, 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 blah. So I'll say done, save and exit. Hi, students. Okay, so you'll see here, oh, let me turn my Zoom back on, Zoom camera. Okay, you'll see here that Canva automatically inputs it into the bottom left corner. You can make it bigger or smaller. You could move it around. If you're not camera ready per se, you could just bring the transparency of that video all the way down and your audio file would be there. You can now also, on any video you record in Canva, show captions. So just click on your video, select the 3 dots in the floating toolbar, and at the bottom, you'll see this option to show captions. Now it's going to take a couple of seconds to load, but the reason I want to show you all this while that's loading, I'll show you that I didn't stop anything. All I did was click on another page in the recording studio and Canva snipped that video. And now on this page, I want you to practice using the. So I didn't start or stop a recording. I didn't have to leave the recording studio. Canva did all of that snipping and editing for me. Let's see if these captions show up. Hi students, on this page, your challenge is to record yourself. There we go. So pretty awesome. Few things about the captions. Right now, they only come out in English and you can't edit them. Oh, perfect. Okay. So one more thing I want to show you all before we move on is you could also take any video. It's going to live here in your uploads, but I could detach it or take it out of this circle frame. So in order to do that, again, I would select it, select these 3 horizontal dots, and then detach video. So again, here's my ridiculous desk. Just disregard that. But you'll see here, I clearly do not have a green screen. So what you can do is select your video, go up to edit video, and then I could do background remover. So again, I know I'm talking in this video about students recording themselves, but just pretend with me it was more of like a kicking off a new unit and we're doing something on the coastal ecosystem. And so I want to be welcoming them into this day from the beach or whatever that may be. So maybe I'm going to do and now, again, just pretend I'm talking about a beach ecosystem, but you'll get the idea. Hi, students. On this page, your challenge is to record yourself. So it could be super cool. Again, I do not have a green screen. Truly, Canva's so good. I've done this on my couch with like photo frames behind me, and it took those out as well. So lots of really cool options in terms of how you could use background remover in video and just make some super innovative, quick videos for students to really spice up that like designing. Again, quick thing about the background remover, it has to be a video that's 90 seconds or less. Otherwise, it's not going to remove the background. So just kind of keep that in mind. So we're going to continue on. I know we have about 4 minutes left. Just want to show you all underneath uploads, we do have a draw feature. So you and your students can draw. In any Canva creation, you can select your writing utensil as well as the eraser, and then your color, and could potentially draw anything on Canva. So again, could be a really cool way for students to reflect. You're embedding voice and choice. Students could type. Students could go into uploads and record themselves reflecting, or they could even draw if they want to draw as a part of that reflection process. All right, y'all, before we close, I just want to point out that from within the Canva editor, you can access underneath draw, you can select projects, and any of your Canva projects will be here. So if you want to pull like a slide or a page from something else you've created in the past, that's again why you want to rename your stuff right when you go in so you're able to find it in the future. And then you can pull in those pages and really easily bring content in from other designs you've already created. Now the last tab here is our apps. So I do want to show you all Translate. So if you go into apps, so left-hand sidebar, apps at the bottom, and then type in Translate. The Canva Translate is going to be this kind of like black plain square here. But don't be fooled by the plain design. It is super awesome. So you have over 100 different languages to translate your Canva creations into. Sorry, I didn't tell you what page. We're on page 23 now. You can translate an entire page and all of the text on it, or just certain text boxes. You could potentially translate an entire document or certain pages. For the sake of this demo, I'm just doing one page. please pay attention to this down at the bottom. You each have 500 uses or think pages per month that you can translate, and then it's going to give you when that your refresh date is. The other thing I want to show you that didn't exist previously is when you select settings, you can do reduce font size to fit, because we know when we translate across languages, that could be more or less words. And then in the past, you would have to go back and change text box sizes to not mess with your formatting, but now Canva will do it automatically for you when you go to that settings button and toggle that on. So I'm going to hit translate. And now you can see here, I went from page 23 in English to page 24 in Spanish. And then again, you can see this text box, originally this text started at size 49, but to keep the formatting, Canva automatically brought it down to about 41 font size, and I didn't have to change anything. So that's pretty awesome. All right, so there's a few more pages that we didn't necessarily get to live today, but again, remember, this is yours. Nobody's gonna see into it. Canva's private by default, so feel free to come back. I go through a few more apps, such as some fun QR code apps. We also have Character Builder, Pixton, bingo cards, and then lastly, I just wanna point out that you can embed anything into your Canva design. So that could be, I shouldn't be Tina popped back on, so she might be able to, I don't know if y'all have YouTube blocked, but if you had a YouTube video that you wanted to embed right into your Canva creation, all you would need to do is copy and paste the link and it just embeds it right in.